to a sacred place where we speak our truth, share our knowledge, and shatter limiting beliefs. We are your hosts, Vanessa and Isabel.
This episode, I feel let's dive into, some boundaries, some things that we've learned in our lives and in, through business or through life, and even like communication, things that we've learned and that are so important, I feel like, that have helped us grow to where we are today and just have been so amazing for our lives, that once you started to maybe it was tough in the beginning, but then you started to implement it. Do you have a boundary that you can think of that maybe was tough for you in the beginning, or it was completely not a boundary, and then you definitely have that boundary that you set and it has made a lot of difference?
A lot.
Share one.
A lot. For example, saying no. Saying no to the simplest things. No, I do not want to go to that event. No, I do not want to hang out. Or no, I don't like that. Whether it's the cake at the birthday party, no, I don't want to have that meal at a family gathering, or I simply just don't want to do something, and I would force myself in the past to do it because I thought that because they got joy of seeing me there or enjoying the food or whatever it could be, it was like, I'm helping them, I'm doing something good, I'm being a good person.
Yeah.
But I was destroying myself. I would feel terrible after I had that greasy food, and I would feel like I wasn't being authentic to myself, and it would really bother me in so many different ways. So with all of that in play, that translated into business too. When a staff member would say, I will be done with it at 4, and then 4 o'clock comes by and it still has not been communicated that it was done, I would almost beat myself up because I'm like, why? Why didn't they do it? I thought I was clear. I thought I said, hey, by 4 o'clock, please have this done. No, I never did. I never gave him the chance. Or I never gave the instruction because I never put instruction on myself.
Ooh.
So
that's powerful.
Yes. And then I would beat myself up because I was like, don't they understand? Don't they realize? Don't they,
Yeah.
No. It's on me. It's on me. That was one of the biggest things that I learned. Not just boundaries, but it bleeds into communication and also being clear with communication. And I mean, you're really good at that. You are really good at that. And at first, when I first saw that in you, I was like, oh man, you're being tough. You're being like almost like really intense about it. But I'm like, looking back on it, I'm like, no wonder you have integrity. No wonder you are responsible with your time and you don't mess around and you don't just do things. You're very intentional with everything that you do. And that's one of the things that I love and respect about you, and it translates into so many different avenues, both in life and in business.
Oh, that's powerful. Thank you. But I feel like you say I'm great at communicating now, which I do believe I'm pretty good at it right now. But I feel like I know that was my weakest point in the past. Like my communication skills were the worst. Like not even when we're talking about business, but I was like not a great communicator. I was very immature in my communication. Like when, for example, people say don't, that person that texts to break up, like that was me. Not having the courage to speak up or speak and communicate.
Wow.
what I was feeling.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But I worked at that, and now if I'm gonna feel a certain way, I'm communicating it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to keep myself guessing or trying to wait for somebody else because I didn't clearly communicate something.
Wow.
You know, so I've definitely, I feel like, worked at it, and I'm really good at it now, but it was my weakest thing now. So that's why I'm very very detailed in my communication.
Yeah.
So that I can breathe and be at peace with my instruction and my expectation. So like if I'm like one of the things, like if I ask somebody, okay, please give me this at 4 p.m., you know, are you gonna give this to me by 4 p.m.? I want an answer from them. Like, yes, okay, now I have the yes, I can now look at 4 p.m. and now I can hold them accountable because they gave that response. They've agreed to it rather than not hearing the response. Because if I'm just like saying something and then they don't agree to it, you know what I mean? Then maybe they didn't hear it or they don't understand it or they're not clear. But if they agree to it, now I can hold them accountable.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is by far one of the best skill sets I feel a human being can have. Think about it. You're in a relationship with someone, you think they are doing what you thought you said you thought did, you know, and here goes a miscommunication there, builds up, and you get to the point where you're like, it breaks, you're like, but what happened?
Yeah.
That was a lot of buildup.
Yeah, I used to be the master of the buildup. And then one day I'd be like, but I never communicated nothing throughout it. You know, it's like, you can't read my mind. you can't read my mind.
Well, I'll tell you now that
you can read my mind now and I can read your mind now, but still. No,
but I think that I think you don't let anything pass, you know, to the point where I'm like, it wasn't even done yet, you know, because I feel like you've gotten so good at and I remember you taught me this, it's the buyback, the pickup, what is it called? The bounce back. Oof, the bounce back. This one is an oldie but a goodie. Okay, the bounce back. So I am sensitive. I feel like I'm very sensitive. So I may not show it at first. So like, let's say we were going out somewhere and the cafe was bad, which in Chiang Mai there isn't. And let's say it was. I remember you would say something like, this cafe, it's not the good one. It's not a good one. There's so many others. Like, why are we here? Why are we wasting it? You know? I would feel paralyzed. Like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Because I'm thinking, I'm processing, I'm trying to process it. Now, that would stay with me for days. And by, let's say, the third day, I would rise up and I'd be like, that hurt, you know? But it has already passed. And I never communicated it with you. Now, the bounce back, the ability to bounce back from that is, you've taught me this, is like, you can take your time to, you know, process your feelings and everything, but just tell me that you're going through it. So now what I've learned is I can say something like, I'm thinking, or let me process that, or let me think about that. And it allows me to bounce back with certainty and respect to myself that I'm going to show up to you as someone that's present and clear-minded in that.
And giving yourself the time and the space and stuff.
Absolutely. I don't know if that's the term, bounce back, to be honest, but whatever it is that was, and in anybody listening in, make sure to put that in the comments, what that actually means, because that has been one of the biggest soft skills and that I'm still learning today. I have not mastered it at all, but I know that I was very, very weak on that. And today I'm a lot better.
Yeah, and I feel like you don't take you're so much better at not taking things personally.
Yeah.
And a thing of like seeing a different perspective. And I feel like we all have to practice that, you know, of like, I know I used to not even know what that meant until I read Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 Agreements. And one of the agreements is
the Don.
Don't take things personally. So it's like, in the first, when you hear it, you're like, what? But then when you start to apply it and practice it, it's like, oh, that person said, he said, don't take things personally. It's not about you, it's about them.
Yeah.
So then you start to, you know, change your perspective and your thinking. And that has allowed me to bounce back a lot faster, even like when we're doing the DMs in our business and direct messages and people's responses. It's like,
I would be so heartbroken. It was like a freaking telenovela every time that Stacy said no. And I was like deep into this whole like fantasy of, you know, and we're gonna help, and she's gonna be able to go on her yacht, and she's gonna live such a great life because we helped her, you know. And she's just like, no, you know, in her own way. But that's, I feel, one of the key things, and in the doing that you have to go through, both in business and in life. And luckily we were able to live both. Like you know, that whole thing of work-life balance?
Yeah.
Like, do you think that that's real?
Work-life balance? I kind of look at them now like they're the same thing. How do I explain it? Like, I don't separate them. I don't separate work and life, and I don't want to ever separate work and life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, to me, if I'm going to work, it's because I enjoy and I love doing what I'm doing. So to me, I'm not going to label it as work.
Right.
You know, so there's a balance in there because I enjoy doing it, and that's life, and that's experiencing, and that's, so I don't look at them as separate. I look at them as, I want it to always be the same thing. And if I don't want to do that work, then I'm going to hire somebody else to do that work.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know if I believe in it or not. So I guess I don't know if I believe in it or not, but that's how I'm going to share it. Yeah. What about you?
No, I'm on the same boat. I'm on the same exact yacht. Excuse me. I'm on the same exact page with you, because it's one thing to know what you want. It's one thing to really go after it, and knowing that it's for you because you believe in it so much. The other thing is, you said something, I will just hire someone to do it if it's not something that we have that ability now.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like, especially with my upbringing, my parents are both generators, okay? I'm a generator. I'm speaking human design now, okay? But we're all here, and, you know, my parents know how to work, okay? Both with their minds and through the physical. And that was a work ethic that was instilled in me, that if I want something, I can go get it. And if I want to go get it, you got to go get it. And if you do it, you do it. You know, that was the mantra there. Now, what's crazy is when I was in architecture school, there was this one class that we have to take. And I remember, like it was yesterday, the professor was up there, he was talking, and I'm tuning everything out. And he just said one line. He was like, an architect's base salary is like 36,000 a year. And there's a lot of, you know, legalities and stuff like that. You're responsible and liable for anything that happens. And it just hit me really hard. You know, it's one of those moments where like the universe kind of grabs you and is like, wake up right quick, you know? And because of that, I remember I got my business degree as well. And I think it was the next semester, I ended up hiring like 5 guys in my drafting class to work on a plaza in my city, Coral Springs, by the way, shout out to you, to build a plaza. Because I was like, I'm never going to be an architect. I made that decision right then and there. I will just hire an architect to do it. And I made a decision that I was going to make a shit ton of money. Okay? Because I'm committed to that.
Yeah.
And I know that we need money to build our dreams. This was before we met.
Yeah. And right when we met, I remember you had the team that you guys were building the plaza, like you were delegating towards with them. That's when we first met.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was not cool when you're in it, but it sounded cool.
Yeah, it sounded really cool. Like,
yeah. But going back to that whole scenario, it's like it's a commitment that in the decision to actually make it happen.
Yeah.
You know?
And you might not be able to in a stage where it's like, oh, I can hire somebody right now tomorrow, but it's the decision, and then you will be able to allocate to be able to do it. But if you never decide and you keep saying, no, I can't, I never will, trust me, you're never going to do it, and it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so even if it's not feasible right now, you will find a way to make it happen. You just need to make the decision you're going to make it happen and start putting the things in place, and it'll happen.
Yeah.
You know?
And we can unpack this quite a little bit where, let's say you're starting out and you don't know who to hire or even how to hire. The beautiful thing about today's time, and this is something that I learned in Psychology of Money, a rock, someone as dumb as a rock, and quoted from the book, can become rich, wealthy, like stupid rich, you know, because of the time that they were born. Okay? So what does that mean? Because we live in a time right now where things are shifting and technology is advancing at lightning speed and AI is becoming a thing and automation is already a thing, and the accessibility to the other side of the world and the communication, there's absolutely no boundaries. You know, there's no borders. You are able to really leverage, understanding leverage, right? So if you're in a position where you don't know how to hire, you don't know who to hire, there's tons of information out there. All you got to do is simply go to YouTube. Just start with YouTube.
That's how we started. Best university.
That's how we started.
Yeah, free content and awesome content. Type it in and you'll start listening, you know, to whatever you want to learn, which is beautiful that we have at our fingertips. Anywhere in the world, probably any language that
our
it's
parents
in.
didn't grow up with YouTube.
No. Yeah.
And they made it happen.
Yeah.
We grew up with YouTube. And now we've made it happen, and now we're continuing to make it happen. Imagine what our kids are going to grow up with, you know? So think of it this way. If you want to start, right now is the greatest time in your life to start.
Yeah.
If you want to think about starting, then that's a different type of conversation. And what I suggest, maybe going back into the first episode of this and, you know, circling back. Because maybe there's something broken. Maybe there's something that's just kind of like a limiting belief that hasn't been mended yet. That once you shatter that glass ceiling that you've put on yourself, because you've put it on yourself, so subconsciously or unconsciously, once it's broken, honey, there's absolutely no ceiling whatsoever.
Yeah, you've got the power.
Yeah.
All the answers are within, you know. I really believe that in every individual. You have the power to make whatever you desire to happen, to come to reality. And it's about us taking full responsibility for where we are right now. And if we don't do that, then there's excuses, there's I can't. But if we take full responsibility of like, I create my life, I can start from there. And no one has control over me, you know? No one. As if I'm not giving anybody else that power. You know what I mean? So
and that's a deep thing that you must do. And I remember the moment when I decided that I have the power. And it was actually in the same balcony that you took the selfie or the picture for the Return to the Truth cover of your first book. I was having a conversation with my mom, and I told her, because she asked me a couple times, are you guys going to come back? are you guys okay?
From Thailand.
She was living in Florida. We were living in Thailand. It's like 6 months in. We're still in the DM trying to make something happen, okay? Crickets are happening and nothing's really blossoming yet. We don't have that much money and we're trying to make something happen. And I remember just letting her know that we're committed. I'm committed. There's no way that I'm going back. And just watch. Just watch. And I remember that fire within me, and it's until you feel that passion and it manifests into like this almost like certainty within yourself, or I don't know if it's the gut or the heart or the armpit, I don't know what it is. Until you feel it, then
Yeah.
Then you understand that that's your purpose. You're in the right place at the right time, and God has you wrapped into his little hands. And
His big hands.
Big old hand.
He's wrapped up.
Yeah.
Thanks, God.
Yeah, thank you, God. And with that, I want to invite you to the next episodes, because this is...
We're getting deeper and deeper.
It's deeper and deeper, and we're deep, period. Yeah. We're deep.
We're deep.
If you guys are looking for surface level stuff, you can go the other way. But if you're looking to just shatter limiting beliefs, raise the standards, and just take a whole new shape in life with authenticity, integrity, and truth, you're in the right space.
We are your hosts, Vanessa and Isabel.